Hi there, and welcome to this webinar recording in which we're going to be taking a look at teaching quizzing, which is Unit 6.7 in the Purple Mash scheme of work. So, as you can see on this page here, I've divided this session up into different sections. To begin with, we'll take a look at a couple of the ideas you might find useful, which are there in every lesson. Then a major feature of this is about considering audience, so we'll have a think about that. Then we'll take a look at some examples from the different lessons going through the unit, and we'll have a look at how you can publish these quizzes for other year groups, which is also a big part of it as well. So let's dive into Purple Mash and get going. So this is the contents of the unit folder, as you will see them. Within here, you've got the usual plan, PDF there. You've got the prior and future learning links, which are great. And actually, this one here does show that this unit is a kind of end of the line unit in a way that you can see here. It doesn't lead on to anything else after it. Year 6 are leaving soon after all, but there's a lot going into it about databases, writing for different audiences, questioning, presenting ideas. There's things from just about, well, there are things from every other year group in the scheme of work leading into this unit. Also within here, we have the slideshows, which you're probably familiar with already. You've also got the knowledge organizer, which is worth diving into. A really important part of a knowledge organizer, I think, is the key vocabulary, because the key vocab builds up over the unit of work. So it's something that you can use to get children talking about the learning that they're doing, and it will help them to see the progression. So you can say to them things like, did you come across any of the key vocabulary that we used last lesson that might be useful this lesson? And so on. It just helps them to get that sense of progress. You can, I believe, as well, take these PDF documents. You can see this is the format of it. I believe you can load them into Microsoft Word if you use that, and edit the content if you want to make it more specific for your setting. Right, next things here. You've also then got the usual concept map and quiz, which you can use to get a good idea of what the children know about this already. It's good to do it at the beginning of a unit and to do it then at the end of a unit to see what the difference is. And there's some resources here, some examples which will come up in the lesson plans as we go through. Let me just have a quick look at my notes. So I wanted to take a look at one of the PowerPoints. So let's have a look at some of these sort of regular features. The vocabulary slide here, I think, is really important, because this, as you can see on it, there's words here which have been encountered previously by the children and new in this lesson. This knowledge is really important. There's a lot of know-how and knowing how to and knowing that in these, which is the kind of bedrock of the lesson, really. And these do come up at the end of the lesson as well. So there's a part at the introduction, and in the plenary, there's one of these, a slide like this as well, which when you're actually playing the slideshow, you won't see all of this on the screen now, but if I just go into play this, so I've gone into play slideshow, and if I click these, they'll spin around and give you a definition like so. So it's got quite a nice little sort of quiz element to it at the end of the lesson in the plenary there as well. Yeah, so vocab, really, really important part of the knowledge that you're building. It's here in the slides, and it's also in the knowledge organizer. The reason I mentioned this is I was having a chat with a teacher the other day who said, I've been using the previous version of the PowerPoints and it didn't have the vocabulary in, I don't think. So, so just well worth being aware of. Okay, I mentioned considering audience is a big part of this, and it is indeed. The different quizzes which we're going to make in each of these different lessons are for different audiences. So the first, in week 1, we make a picture-based quiz, which is aimed at reception year 1, year 2 children. Then in weeks 2, 3, 4, and 5, we'll be making other quizzes to do perhaps with science or other subject areas, which could be aimed at different ages of children. what type of question would be more appropriate for young children as opposed to older children. In the final show, in the final lesson, we have a quiz which we can run a game show from, and again, there could well be adults involved with that. So maybe some different types of question might be appropriate for adults. Let's have a look at this the lesson 1, and we'll get going with that. Okay, so the tool that we use to create quizzes within Purple Mash, they're all in this section here called Quiz and Game Creation. We're going to look at one called To Do It Yourself to begin with. This is the one which we're going to create a picture quiz in. So within here, 2Quiz is the overall quiz software, but these separate quizzes after it here, maths quiz, sequencing quiz, text quiz, grouping quiz, and so on, these are quizzes that we can use to just select particular styles of questions. We also have activities up here as well. So to begin with, I'm going to create a jigsaw puzzle. I could create a pairs puzzle instead, which is making sort of matching. It's a memory game where you have to choose the card that matches the one you've turned over. But for a puzzle, let's begin with this one. So if you were doing this, you'd set this puzzle activity here as a to-do for your class. I'm going to launch it though, so we'll use it rather than set it. And in here, it's saying what kind of puzzle do you want to make, and I've got various different formats here of jigsaw puzzle. I'm going to choose the 6-piece puzzle here, so I'll click OK. And what I have on the screen here is the puzzle area. I've got tools over here for drawing and creating my own art on here if I wish. I've also got up at the top here some tools which you may be familiar with along the bar along the top here. So this clears anything that I've put on here. So if I happen to draw on here and then click clear, I can get rid of that. I can also show the pieces again like this. And I can switch the pieces off and on by sliding this switch here. What I always do when I'm creating a quiz, first of all, is click on this I circle here, because this is the intro screen. Opening this up gives me the chance to give it a title. So in this case, I could call this Red Riding Hood Jigsaw. Down here, I can put some instructions. And to the right of where I've put the instructions, there's a microphone, and I can click onto this and record a voiceover, which will automatically play when I start this. So let's click onto here, and I can click record up here, and I'll usually read the title and the instructions here. Red Riding Hood Jigsaw. Solve the jigsaw puzzle. Could have perhaps given it better instructions, couldn't I? But you'll get the idea. Now, I'm not putting a picture in here yet because this is going to be automatically created from the jigsaw. I can change the background colors by selecting these icons here. I can select the amount of time I'm giving the person to solve the puzzle here, and the success sound, the well done sound, and the sound for when the game's over if they run out of time. This intro screen that we're looking at here is the same for all of the quizzes that you're going to be creating in this unit, with the exception of this central area here, where on other quizzes you'll be able to add an image of your own choice by clicking onto the paint bucket, and there'll be a menu to take you forward from there. Okay, so I've got my intro screen done. Now I just need a picture in here, and I do that by going up to the select clip art. I could choose images from within Purple Mash, so I could choose a picture of a train if I want and then colour it in to make the jigsaw. But what I'm going to do is choose a file. So I click here, and within my Purple Mash, I've uploaded a few files into here. You can upload files by clicking on From My PC, and you can access JPEG files, PNG files, and so on to lift up. In this case, I'm going to go into this one, and I'd quite like this one here for Little Red Riding Hood. So let's open that up. And you can see, here's the image. I could edit it if I want to with the tools on here, but I'm just going to click OK. And there we are. I can switch the jigsaw puzzle pieces back on to see how it divides up, and I'm happy with that. So let's give it a try. I click play. Red Riding Hood jigsaw. Solve the jigsaw puzzle. I can click play at the bottom again, and here's my jigsaw puzzle. So if a young child is not able to see the picture here, they can click on the preview in the upper right corner, which is just here, and it will show them the picture, and then click on it to get it to disappear, and they can continue. And when they've finished, they should get a nice sort of round of applause, I think. Better try and do it quickly. Yeah. So let's stop that again with the stop button at the top, and that's done. Now, if you've set this activity as a to-do for your children by setting the jigsaw puzzle that we looked at before as a to-do, the children could come to the menu up here and save it into the to-do folder as normal. I'm just going to save this now into my file. I'll call it L1 for lesson 1, and we'll save that. Now, I think in lesson 1 it asks you to share it on a display board, which makes it accessible to the children in the other classes. So let's take a look at how we can set a display board up. So let's close this, and I'm going to go to the sharing menu at the top here, and I'm going to click on the cog to go into the admin area of this. Now, if this is the first time you're using display boards, I definitely recommend having a look at either the videos or the written help up here to familiarize yourself with how this works. But as I'm familiar with it, I'm just going to click the green button here to create a new board. So I will call this here, I'll call this puzzles. And in here, I'm just going to say year 6 puzzles for year, and type correctly. I'm not going to hide the pupil name. I'll choose an icon here, which I can again create my own icons or upload things, but I'm going to make this one a picture of some children like that. Down at the bottom, which classes do I want to be able to see this display board? Well, it's both of them. It's all involved. So I'm going to click a couple of my different classes here. And then I'd know, as long as you give it access to the reception class or year 1 or whoever the audience is, and to your year 6s, they will all be able to submit work to this, and the younger children will be able to see work on it. So I click save now, and that's done. So how do I go about adding work to a display board? Let's take a look at that. So within here, I can see that my display board is here. It's called the puzzles, with the children on it, and to put work onto it, I need to find that work. So let's go back here, and where did I save it? I think I popped it in here, so it's L1 in here. Let's double click to open. So from here, a child could click onto the menu here and then click share, and they can then individually click onto display board, and they'll choose the one and click on it. I've got this option to set it as approved because I'm logged in as a teacher. Children won't have that, so let's show you how it would work if children do this. I can click on OK now, and it says it's been added to the display board. Great. Let's exit. And if I go back to this display board here, what you'll see is that there's nothing here. So I need to flick the switch at the top here to edit it. And I'm now looking at approved items, but I want to click here and look at unapproved items. And here is where you'll see the puzzles that the children have submitted. So I click onto this. If there's more than one here to approve, I can click on my control button on my Windows keyboard, or I believe you can click on command if you're using a Mac, and then you can click on the writing at the bottom on any others. When you've selected them, you click on the plus button. Sorry, click on the tick up here. You might want to double click on it and have a look at it first, but when you're happy with it, you click on approve up here. So now there's nothing on the unapproved items on the board, so I click to the approved items and I turn edit off, and now I'm seeing this board as children would see it. And I can click on any of these and go into playing the puzzle. So that's how you can, that's how children can generate the first quiz and share it in lesson 1. There is also a way in which you can share more than one activity to a display board. If I just go into my work folder, I've got lots of different things in here. I could select a lot of these. So I'm going to scroll down, find the one that's the last one I want to share, hold down the Shift key on my keyboard and click, and I've selected a whole range. I can use Control and click to deselect and reselect any. With them, I can now go to the overflow area here, and I can click on to display board. Only I've chosen some file types here that won't allow me to put them onto a display board. So if I just, I'll just use Control click to get a couple of things here. So if I just say try these 3, I should be able to click to display board, and you can add them in bulk yourself as a teacher and approve them straight away if you don't want the children to do it themselves. Right, I hope that's all pretty straightforward and clear enough now. Remember, you can watch any bits of this video again if anything isn't making sense. And we've got up to, well, we're over halfway through now. We need to have a look now at what's happening in lesson 2. So if I just remind ourselves on here, yes, so we're looking at the types of questions which will be used in lessons throughout the quizzes 2 to 5. So for this, we're going to be using a tool called ToQuiz. And you might recognize what ToQuiz produces because we use it an awful lot to create activities within Purple Mash. And it's here in the quiz and game creation section. So if you're setting this as a task for the class to do, you'll set it as a to-do. And then the children it'll open up the quiz creation tool for them, rather than opening up a quiz. But I want to launch it now to show you. So when we launch it, perhaps the first time you use it, you'll be given a guide here, welcome to ToQuiz, and this shows you around. So this is a good place, a good set of prompts to follow if you've never used this before. You can say don't show again and close it if that's what you want. So what do we have here? If I click on plus, it will say I can add a question to my quiz, and there, as you can see, there are 12 different types of questions. If I click the blue circle at the top here, I get my introduction. So let's have something here. I'll call it science quiz, and I would like to add a picture in here. So I'll click the paint pot. I'm going to search through our clip art for bones. Let's have a picture of a skeleton here. Take that one. Okay, and my instructions could be have a go at, or could be what I can do here, everything else is pretty similar to how it was before. So I'm not going to waste your time by showing you how to do the voiceover and so on. We'll just click on OK and continue. So at the moment, we've got no questions in this quiz. We need to add some. Again, video in the top corner here if you want to watch this, and I would definitely recommend that you do as a teacher, because all 12 types of quiz question are listed here and you can see how they all work.
A versatile quizzing tool.
I shall just stop you there, Alban. And you can work your way through this and make sure that you've got the subject knowledge and familiarity to be able to discuss this confidently with your class. I'll show you just a couple of these though. So one which multi-choice is a pretty straightforward one. We'll have one of those. We'll also have a labeling one. Those are really nice and children tend to like those. You can get a lot out of those. We'll also have, I don't know, I think it's important that we have a text question as well. So my first question here could be, which of these are bones in your leg? Click Actually, I should rephrase that, shouldn't I? Click any of these. Which are bones in your leg. Okay, now the reason I've phrased it this way is because you can have more than one answer being true here. So if I pop on here, is it fibula and tibia, I think, isn't it? So we could have the fibula and the tibia. I hope I've spelt that right. Ribia, no. Tibia, and then to add more questions, I can click the plus or take options away with the minus. And we'll have, say here, a femur, and we'll also add on, I don't know, let's add on a clavicle. And I think that might be, we can have more than, I think we can have 6 options, and I'll perhaps have, let's have an obvious one, rib. So we put a tick next to the ones which are correct, like so the computer knows how to mark it. And then into this box here, I can add more clip art. So I could again pop, not a house, click the wrong one, clip art here. I could click a picture of a skeleton there as well for the bones. Okay, on here, anything that I put in, if I add a voiceover in this box, it will play automatically as soon as this question starts. Any that we put into the names of the options here will only play when there's a button, when the child presses a button. Let's show you. Fibula. Click any of these which are bones in your leg. So when we go through and show you how it works, you'll see how the autoplay and press play work. Now the next item we have here is a labeling activity, and again I'm using this to label bones in the body, but this could be easily be part of geography, parts of a plant. There's all sorts of options, and it starts by clicking into the white space and choosing a picture. So we go to the clip art icon up here. Again, I can choose a file and upload things from my PC if I want to, but I'll just do something from here for speed. So let's grab a photo of that skeleton again and get some labeling done. So we click OK and it pops the picture in here. Then we drag a label here and we can say that this is a skull. And again, I've got that option to record on every button, which is great if you're doing this for a younger audience. Skull. I won't do the rest just for just to save time. So spine, and let's just pop the femur in here. Okay, I won't add any more to it. I'll just leave it at that. And my last one here could be, I wanted to show you a text question because, well, I'll finish that sentence in a moment. So which is the largest bone in your body? So it's the femur, which is your thigh bone. Now down here, I can type the correct answer in here, but I'm aware that children could very well make spelling mistakes. So we separate alternative spellings with semicolon. So I think they may spell it with a double E, like that. They may spell it with an EA. They may do all of those, but with an ER on the end. And what will happen is if the children put any of these in, they'll get it marked correctly, and you could go on and on with that. It's important to have it selected here as case insensitive on this as well, so it doesn't matter whether they're typing in upper or lower case, as long as they've got one of these words either in capitals or not, or a mixture, it'll be fine. And so we can carry on. Now, if I want to clone a question, if I think, oh, I like how I've got this one set up, this one up here, because the bone, I've done this bit in it and I can recycle that, go to the bottom here and click on clone question, and it will duplicate it for you. And you can then pull that down to the bottom, and we've got question 1 twice. So I could change, I could change some parts of it and say which of these are in your lower leg. And then we could just say that the femur's wrong. It would just be the fibula and tibia, which would be correct then. Okay, so, or if you want to delete a question, you just select that question here, click on the bin, and it's gone. Same as before, children can save their work from the to-do. I'll save this as L2 here into my folder. And a child could now submit this to Displayboard in the usual way by sharing and clicking on Displayboard and finding it. I think this tool will be used in lessons throughout. You also might want to take a look at the text toolkit. There's some good tools in here which I think could well be mentioned in this unit as well. Same sort of principle for any of them. You open it up, have a look at the watch the help video and find out all about how it works. And these will possibly be familiar to you from the grammar scheme of work. Sorry, the grammar quizzes. Some of the grammar quizzes use these things, these text toolkit ones, and some of them use the 2Quiz. But by having an explore in them, you can get children to create their own grammar quizzes, which is, I think, the activity in one of the weeks. All pretty straightforward. The one which is a little bit different, though, is where we're going to use. Sorry, stop scrolling. There we go. Where we use 2Quiz in a slightly different way. And I'm running out of time now, so I'm just going to use this one quite quickly. I'm not going to do an intro screen on it. What I'm going to do on this one is click the cog at the top here, because this time we want to do it in game show mode, which is this third mode here. And I'll show you quickly how this works. So let's click on the plus sign here, and I'm just going to create one question, and I'm going to duplicate it lots of times. I'll just say, what's your favorite number? And it could be 1, it might be 2. Let's put lots of options here. We can go up to 5 options, as we said before. It could be 3, it might be 4, or it might be 5. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say that I could make it so that every answer is correct, or I could just make it so that a couple of them are correct, like so. So if I now go to the right and click onto that, I can go to the bottom and clone it lots of times, like so. Now, obviously, you wouldn't have one with a ridiculously set of ridiculous questions in it like this, but the point I'm trying to show you, you'll see in a moment, is just that you'll have quite a lot of questions on here. Now, when you play this, what happens is every question is turned into a square on the board. And what you do is you say, okay, team 1. Now in lesson 6, I think this encourages you to get adults playing against children in a team quiz. So you could say something, okay, adults, choose a number between 1 and 8, and they'll go, oh, 3. So you click on 3, and up pops the question. And if they say, my favorite number is 1, and you click on done, and it says, that's not right, oh dear. So it goes back, and the children get to have a go. So children, we choose to have a go at number 2. So we're going to click on number 2. And that's not right. Oh gosh, okay, I've got to. The reason this isn't working is because you have to do the multiple answers. You can't just do any of them. It has to be exactly right. I had to have done 1, 3, and 5 then. So let's try that on some more again. Play. So on question 1, I could just click here and say done, and then well done team. What's your colour? And they might say red or blue or whatever. Let's say they're saying red. The first question becomes red. Then the other team say, we want number 7, and we'll say it's 1, 3, and 5. And yes, so our colour is purple. Okay, so you can see what's happening now. It builds it up. And at the end, it gives you a score as well. So it's a nice way of creating a kind of group activity rather than an individual activity for a quiz. So throughout the whole unit, the children get this opportunity to create things using the computer for other people of different ages, so considering their audience, putting the computer to good use, and also having some fun, I hope. I should just add at the end, it's just occurred to me as well, but these quiz scores won't go into the data dashboard if they're being played off a display board you'd have to set one of the children's pieces of work as a to-do for it to be put onto the data dashboard. But anyway, I hope you have lots of fun with it, and thank you very much for watching. Bye bye.